Hello, it is Friday, October 16th, 2009, and my name is David Tangredi. And through work that I've been doing with a woman named Stephanie Golden-Falcon, we've brought through some readings for you today. They're tarot readings, and they're related. The first reading, which you can see in front of you, is a 5-card reading arranged sort of like a wheel. If you bring your attention to the middle of the wheel, you will notice the Emperor. Now, the Emperor represents a man or a woman who is centered within their power, within their strength. And the power of the archetypal Emperor is the power of self, not the power over others. Now, if you look what lies behind and in front of the Emperor, you see a path from the past into the future. In the past, you have the Chariot, and the Chariot is Spirit's way of carrying us through some situation. It's when we let go of the steering wheel, because a chariot is that which is ridden, not that which is driven. So with this reading, you see, by letting go of control, we allow Spirit to carry us into the future, and in the future we have the star, and the star is connecting with the higher self. It is following your own internal guidance system. Well, the card above and below the Emperor shows the current weather, you can think of it as. Above, you have the Tower, and the Tower represents abrupt discontinuity. It represents shifts that are jarring and changes that are unexpected. Below the Emperor, you have the Devil, and the Devil merely represents the physical plane. It is not good or bad in and of itself, but the pleasures and pains of the physical world are what can hold us captive. If you look closely at the card, you might not be able to see it in this version, but the Devil is always containing two prisoners, a man and a woman who are chained to the devil itself. And that represents when the pleasures and the pains of the physical world capture us and entangle us within its web. So the message from this reading overall is, by releasing control to Spirit and following guidance, we will be led into the future. We will ride above the entanglement of the physical plane, and we will weather the storm represented by the Tower. Now, in this second reading, we have additional cards, additional information about sort of this current situation. If you bring your attention to the upper left corner, you will again see the Chariot to the left and the star above. And between the two of them, you will see the Hermit. Now, this time, the Hermit is centered between the two and facing the Chariot, with the star at his back. You can think of it as the guidance of his higher self is not easily seen, but is casting light on his path forward. What is in front of him is the Chariot, and it's as if his higher self is saying, "Board and let us carry you to safety." Down below the Hermit, you will notice Temperance, and to the right of Temperance is again the Devil. Now, Temperance is the middle way between two paths, and you can see here the Temperance card is between the Hermit and the Devil. Now, the Hermit represents turning inward, turning towards Spirit, and listening for that guidance that is the star and the higher self. Now, the Devil is the physical realm, as I mentioned earlier, so Spirit is guiding us to split our time between the needs of the physical world and the needs of the Spirit within us, or the guidance of the Spirit within us. So it's splitting that time between looking out and looking within. Now, if you look up in the upper right-hand corner, the first card that jumps out at you is the Wheel of Fortune. Fortunes rise and fortunes fall. Now, the three cards that surround the Wheel of Fortune are the Tower, the Sun, and Justice. the lowest point of the wheel, the lowest point of the cycle, shows the tower, because the abrupt discontinuity represented by the tower, the jarring experience, is and can be thought of as the low point of the wheel. It is a situation that is often difficult, straining, and stressful. Now, justice represents karma. It suggests that what we get is what we attracted through our thoughts and our actions. Now, what you can't see in this particular reading, Madam Justice in her left hand holds scales, and the symbology of the scales is that karma is exact and perfect. And in place of her scales, or on top of her scales, is the Wheel of Fortune. So the Justice is reminding us that our thoughts create our reality, and the result of those thoughts are brought to us through the Wheel of Fortune. Another way of looking at it is Spirit is suggesting or offering to us, are we going to turn our wheel to the left and down towards the tower, or are we going to turn our wheel to the right towards the sun? Now, the sun represents everything that we desire, everything that is needed for life. The sun, in physical terms, provides energy to the earth. It feeds the entire planet, both directly, as in plants, and indirectly, as in animals who eat those plants, then on up the food chain. So one could say that the earth could not exist without the sun, and thus everything that we desire, all the experiences and possessions that we desire, exist under the sun. And so the power is in our hands. Justice is us. And we, through our minds, through our focus, through our actions, through our intentions more than anything, turn the wheel of fortune one way or the other. Now, lying in the center of the wheel, of the spread, and jumping right out at us is the devil. Now, the way I see that is this reading is about the physical realm and our relationship to it. In one way, this reading is representing any moment of time in the physical realm. But intuitively, it feels like there's something in the works that is highlighting this focus for us right now. Now, I want to return to temperance for a moment, because another way of looking at the position of the temperance card is it's between the chariot and the star as well. And another way of sort of looking at those two cards is the star could represent a state of being, and the chariot can represent a state of doing, because the chariot represents action. So the temperance card might also be telling us not only to split our time between the spirit realm and the earth realm, but split our time between doing and being. Much of our earthly life requires us to take action. We need to feed ourselves, we need to go to the store to buy that food, we need to go to work in order to earn the money to buy the food, etc. But the law of attraction tells us that by going within and spending some time just being with our thoughts and being with our desires and being with our guidance, that we can prepave our path into the future. We can line up the energy so that the doing is without as much effort, without as much resistance, that things will run smoothly. We always need to do, as long as we are on this plane. There is doing that is involved, but it can be much smoother and much easier through our being. So that's it for today. Our 10 minutes is up. You can find more at davidtangredi.com, and thank you for listening.